Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to ATI Pro Media. We're powered by advanced trading. We're glad you could join us today. We have a few things to talk about. Markets are moving a little bit. They went down yesterday, they're going up today. Headlines were kind of light. Outside markets are doing outside market things. Explosive rally in stocks yesterday. Of course, we're going to talk about on this show, will December corn trade $5 again this year? There's about 177, 178 days till December futures expire, and December options, of course, expire in November. So, with that, let's check on the market. You're going to like the quotes, but that's where the quotes are now. By the end of the show, they may be lower. We'll take it to LaSalle Street and see what we have. But my boards say July corn's up 5.5. July beans are up 11.5. No beans, not playing nicely, only going up 4. Meal and oil firm. Wheat doing wheat things. Board of Trade wheat down 4. Casey unchanged. Minneapolis unchanged. Live cattle a little lower. Feeders lower. Hogs lower. Hogs had a nice day yesterday. Live cattle are starting to digest that big move from last week, starting to maintain right there. Let's take it to Wall Street. Gold up $12. Silver up pretty good. And twos, fives, tens, 30s, interest rates, bond market's up. That means yields are down. Crude oil is rallying, and it has been rallying for several days. We now have $81 crude oil. Crude oil up 80 cents. Natural gas up. Dow Jones up a little. NASDAQ lower. S&P up. Bitcoin down 2,000. It's interesting quoting Bitcoin because it just kind of does what it wants to. All right. Connor's on today. Brady's on vacation this week. We have lots of fun things to talk about. Let's bring in Connor to the show, and we'll go through a few headlines. Of course, Connor, we're always interested in people asking questions.
Yep.
Then we got to do that bull bear debate. Will corn hit $5 ever again this year?
I like it. Which side are you taking, Tommy? You the bull or you the bear? You're the ag bull. So you
Well, the podcast is called Egg Bull, but I can see a pretty bearish scenario. And it's not because production, it's not because acres, it's just because the overall world theme. But stay tuned. We might be there by the end of the show, the way the market's going up.
let's do it. All right, let's get into a few quick headlines. First one, you touched on it. Markets closed tomorrow. We will have no night trade closed tomorrow, and we will see a night open, right, Tommy? Make sure I'm saying that.
Yeah, so the markets are
Markets open
closed tonight, and then Wednesday night will open. I think I'm
Wednesday
gonna
night
head up to
open.
Chicago today, go to Cubs game. Looks like there's a night game. Go up there and get in a little
Awesome.
trouble.
Awesome. Sounds great. And then we got options expiring Friday. You talked about that. Big thing we saw is we got crop conditions out yesterday. Not a whole lot to report. They dropped them slightly. Corn and beans both went from a 74% good to excellent to a 72% good to excellent on corn. Soybeans, much the same, 72% good to excellent down to 70 versus 55% last year and 54% on soybeans. So we're still good. They're pulling back, not unexpected with this heat. My home state of Illinois saw the biggest drop here. I got the map if everyone wants to read some small writing real quick. But Illinois is the big one. We've talked a lot about it's kind of the have and have nots, right? It's raining in the Western Corn Belt. Eastern Corn Belt is looking a little hot and dry. And so we saw a big drop, 9% change in Illinois. Unless we catch some rain, there's nothing in the forecast. I would look for that to continue to drop. One thing I'll point out to you, Tommy, Illinois was 36% good to excellent last year. So keep it in mind. We'll talk about the crop conditions, but always keep in mind it's going to be what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, in the next month, that's going to determine this yield.
I think people who watch crop conditions are set up to get punched in the face because last year's crop conditions really made people think it was all dying. There was no crop. We threw out a 177, 177.5 yield. It's just a rough way to go through life. We talk about them, we send them out on premium. Everyone talks about them. It's an easy map to post and it's fun. And
Yep.
Pennsylvania, 100%. Illinois went down this. In the end, the genetics are just powering through. But that might not be. You could have great genetics, but with the amount of rain they've had in Minnesota, you may not need genetics. You may need a pontoon boat. So there are some problems, and there's always problems, right? If you're that last 5-10% of get the corn planted, you're part of the problem. If you're the 5-10%, but the American corn crop is not based on all of America having absolutely ideal conditions and perfect everything. So America's so big. If you don't believe me, just go drive. Go drive from the top left tip of North Dakota and take it all the way down to the bottom of Tennessee or Kentucky where we're growing corn and crisscross it from the state of New York all the way down to what would be left over there way down south to Texas. It would take days to do either of those drives. So not everything needs to be perfect to grow an okay crop. And at that, Connor, we just have okay demand. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. We needed to pick up, and along those same lines in terms of demand, that safrinha corn crop, Tommy, is getting harvested very quickly. Right now, we saw that second corn crop, the safrinha corn crop, out of Brazil, 13% harvested versus a measly 5.3% last year. So, looking at that, Mato Grosso is where a big part of that, right? They're getting close to 20% harvested, so they're making good harvest pace. We saw last week that CONAB finally raised their corn production estimates. So to me, I don't know if we see any big surprises to the negative, right? It'll be, are we going to come closer to what the USDA said or what CONAB said? But so far, harvest is off to a great pace in Brazil, and we'll still see what they think yield's going to be out there. But it seems like it's pretty good so far, Tommy.
Yeah. And as far as today's price action, we were set up for a bounce with how bad wheat's been hit and wheat's still down. It feels like wheat bounced. It didn't. But God, it's really important when we talk about more bushels coming in. Last week we were live from Bloomington, and when we had that number, I was surprised that that corn crop was better. And those are those little things when you're like, oh, this part of Minnesota's bad. Yeah, but the world numbers, they're okay. They're okay. Until we throw up a big red flag. Speaking of red flags, one of the greatest red flags we've had in the last few years was the production in wheat. And look at what wheat's done, just absolutely tumbling. Maybe a little bit later we can get into the charts. I'll have to pop them up. But we know there was a major production problem with too little rain, frost in Russia. And we're about 60, 70% off the highs there from where that move started. So definitely some sad trombones if you were a spec long in wheat. Also, speaking of wheat, you said there was an article out saying farmers can't make money with $7 wheat. And I said, well, that must have been wrote last week because now we're $6 wheat. So what do you think about that article?
It caught me off guard, and I wish Brady was here to talk about it too, right? Because he's right in the middle. But it was very much kind of, times are tough. The article was really outlining how a local diner wasn't going to make it because farmers aren't eating out anymore. Times are tough, and I respect that. It's hard when we see that price drop $1.20, but we were $7 wheat. How long ago, Tommy?
10 days ago. Yeah,
10 days.
Not that long ago.
10 days ago.
And everyone was scared to sell it, like scared out of their mind to sell and protect that price.
Yeah, we're 2 years off from $10 wheat. Right? 2022. So when I see articles like that, it just kind of makes me scratch my head. I mean, I
feel
respect
like someone had a report due, like you need to have this turned in by this. Okay, I'm going to write about this. I mean, one thing we talked about, I think it was after the show yesterday, you and I, Joe and Brady and Rick and stuff, was people, if you're a hedger, you're a hedger. If you're a hedger at $8 corn, you're a hedger at $8 corn. If corn's at 5 and you're a hedger, you're a hedger. If corn's at 3 and the risk is still goes down, you're a hedger. I think this younger group gets to decide when they want to be a hedger, or maybe doesn't even understand hedging. So they're upset with the scenario, not the opportunities that were in the past or what could be in the future. And so I think they're focusing on the wrong thing. It's very much a flat price thing, and it's not so much a risk management. But again, I do listen to other shows, other blogs, other stuff, and there was this young farmer commenting that, of course, there's very little selling. No farmer's going to sell below their cost of production. I'm like, okay, I'll bet you a lot of money they do right at harvest. Any farmer who doesn't have a bin will sell at a very much lower level, below cost of production, if we're there.
And can I just say, calculating a cost of production on June 18th, you got to be doing it. Know where the goalposts are, but we are very much in an emotional time frame, right? It's hot and dry here in Illinois, and you start really worrying about what is that final yield going to be coming in at. And then suddenly, if you're doing cost of production, maybe your APH is a 220 and you're using a 210, where it's probably too early to say we're not going to raise APH corn. right? It really messes with the numbers, and I think it could inhibit your time to sell, right? What if we have that good crop? What do you always say, Tommy? Pretend we're really good at farming, and we do have the bushels out there. We can move the goalposts. So you and I talk about all the time about getting caught up and just focusing on that break even. We don't know where the break even is until the grain's delivered to the elevator or it's in the grain bin. So be cognizant of where the break even is, but don't get analysis paralysis either. That'd be my advice.
I like it. All right. Did we go through all the headlines?
I think so. Joe, we got any more?
Perfect. Let's talk real quick about what we did yesterday on premium, then we'll bring in some charts. But yesterday on premium, we had Mick Kerr came on real early, did a weather update. Then we had Brady and Presley. That was awesome. And they came on and really gave a specific talk about KC wheat. And the one thing I took away from that was they want to re-own wheat, right? If you're selling wheat off the combine, they see a much better global story. All right, this afternoon on premium, we had some interesting stuff come out of advanced trading. We're going to digest those charts that you noticed Dr. Cesar Cruz did, and they very much had the range of where we think the markets can be here in corn, beans, and wheat. Tommy and Connor, you didn't know that, but you're going to help me break down those charts. So I was like, don't put those charts on the day show. We can't give away everything. They're pretty good. But that's make for an interesting conversation. That sets us up for this layup. Bull bear debate. Spin the bull and bear, bro. All right. Bull bear. Dees corn is trading for, I'll give you Dees corn's price, $4.67. Will December corn futures in the next 177 days hit $5? Connor B, stage is yours. Easy questions only.
Will it hit $5? All right. You ready for me to be bold? I'm going to say, with what I know right now, no, we're not going to see $5 corn, Tommy. I'm going to preface that statement.
Futures, not cash, because we can.
What
get
did I say?
I
meant
$5 corn, right?
$5 futures. That's what I meant to say. We're not going to see it, but I'm going to preface that with we've got a long way to go, right? If the weather turns hot and dry, this thing can change very quickly. We know that. Exports are going to be a wild card, right? Brazil crop feels good, but hey, if the USDA kind of trends it up, and we see anytime. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how the export tax and that was going to hit. Well, that didn't even clear. So that's kind of off the board too. And so with what I see right now, I don't see us. I see the production there, right? The wild cards are going to be next week. How are we going to adjust the balance sheet via that acreage report that comes out next Friday, June 28th? Right?
Which you like to call the June 30th report.
It's the June 30th report to me.
It always will be.
And so could we see a reduction in corn acres? Absolutely. We saw a big increase in corn acres last year. All bets are on the table, right? So, but yeah. So what do you got? You're going to talk bull or you're going to talk bear?
I'm going to talk options because that's the biggest, okay. We could talk all we want. A December $5 call currently is trading 19 3/4, call it 20 cents for easy math, right? And so if you want from now and anytime, call it November 22nd, for 20 cents, you can own from $5 to infinite. Now, that's with a 470 corn board, call it. So let's look 30 cents under that, maybe like a 440 put. And how much are those? Those are about 16 3/4 cents, 17 cents. So what I understand from a math standpoint, if you want unlimited upside from 30 cents higher, it's about 20 cents. If you want unlimited downside, I say unlimited because you're like, corn can only go down so much. Listen, you in the back room, I seen crude go negative 37. Don't tell me how much corn could go down. Go sell crazy somewhere else. We're all sold out here. All right. So ever since crude oil went negative, the downside of puts trade a little different because someone learned a very important lesson in the market. Continues to teach us all. So downside costs 17 cents, upside costs 20 cents. That's not a big price to pay to sleep better at night. Regardless, if you're the largest ethanol company and you said, I need unlimited upside on 10 million bushels, click the mouse, brother. It's right there. Go get it all. So from a market standpoint, I feel that insurance is still pretty affordable and volatility is low. Now, when we do premium this afternoon, when you see those charts that Dr. Cruz made, you're going to see that we currently, that's today, things can change. We currently see some lower volatility here and tighter ranges. And I think that's what that younger generation's having a hard time with is that they've really just come through a really great time here in markets. And it may have not been in price in 20, but the government started handing out a lot of money and there was a lot of access to affordable cash, low interest rates. Remember, interest rates went to zero, and in some cases we're trading negative all around the world. So cash was readily available. It's not as readily available. And I don't know if you agree, disagree, or just want to talk about it, but I'm not as worried about the price of corn is how much money it costs to produce a bushel of corn. That actual production and interest cost in the front end and back end, I think that's the quiet leaker. I think that's what's hurting people, and they may not realize it. They're going to start to realize it as they sell last year's crop at what will go back to look like horrible prices and pay a ton of money to do it. They may be getting ready to do that again. So for the young man commenting on someone else's page saying young farmers aren't going to sell till it gets their cost production, I'll buy you a beer and I might need to buy you a sandwich because I think you're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it great where we're coming off, the past 3 years, we've seen higher prices and we've seen big volatility, right? Some huge swings with the Ukraine war. Gosh, I remember was it after the Ukraine war in 2022? We really took a big dip into that summer. We should look at that chart. And then we had a nice rally back, right? And I know us as brokers, our customers, right? If we're using options, we love the volatility. We love to make money as it's going down, raise floors as it's going up. It's very simple to do, but we've also got to be prepared for when that volatility goes away, right? Those big carry markets. Sometimes the marketing strategy, it's not harder in a low volatility big carry market, but sometimes to be able to do it, right? Stick the corn in the bin, make those sales, lock in the carry, and do things like that. It's a different marketing strategy, and we got to be ready for that type of scenario, I think, Tommy.
Yeah, it's kind of goes back to the hardest part of working out, getting to the gym. Once you get there, you're usually okay. No one complains when they're there. They're like, I have to get up early. I have to get ready. I have to make time. You have to make time to understand the current situation. So I imagine people will argue with themselves, friends, neighbors, blogs, whatever. They'll go get out the magic barrels of ink and comment on stuff. But in the end, the money's going to show up. Now, from a guy who has an office at a bank, and you're at a bank too. It's just there's nobody at your bank.
Yeah.
Your bank closed in what year?
Great Depression, or when did Great Depression? 36, 32, 36? What is that?
Well, the crash in 29, then we went through a lot of bad times.
It made it to the 30s anyway. I know that.
Yeah, your bank, you have the certificate on your wall that says this bank has $75,000 in funds, and we are a secure bank. Anyway, they didn't make it. But my point is, from my friends at the bank up north and First State Bank in Mayville, they're not having to turn any young farmers down. They're not turning any middle-aged farmers down. The middle-aged older farmers are operating from cash. They're not even using their lines of credit. So if you said, Tommy, Connor, will corn get the $5? Maybe, maybe not. Is it going to stress anyone out? If you don't even have an operating note, you have a lot of room if the bushels show up to make a lot of mistakes. And I think the mistakes are getting made quietly. Your banker's not going to pull the line because you don't have a line for many people. So for people who money's a little more tight, are doing a better job marketing. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think that's pretty consistent throughout, throughout. That's not, I wouldn't say that's a new thing either though, Tommy, I guess.
I will say that land prices, since I started at the Board of Trade in 1993, I'm not going to say where they were, but I'm going to pull up a map on June 24th, 1993, where I pulled in when I started trading corn, what the average price of Illinois ground is. I don't know that answer, but we'll find it. So I want to know the average price of Illinois farmland in June of 1993 to now 2024. What do you want to think that the average price of land was worth in 1993?
Man, I don't even want to guess.
I'm going to go with 2,500, and that
I was going
to
say
average. I'm going to say like what, 15,000?
Probably.
Let's learn a little bit about
15,
that. That's
17.
what's changed. My point is that's what's changed. The wealth is now not coming from the price of corn, beans, and wheat. The wealth and continued wealth has come from land prices absolutely doubling since 2018-19 to 2024. And there's so many reasons that's happened. Look at the United States deficit. As fast as our deficit goes up $1 trillion every 100 days, land prices are continuing to maintain okay prices. So I think a lot of it kind of has to do with land. Land is the life jacket to the American farmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. So what are we looking at? Do we got any more on the bull bear debate? Any other points you want to bring up?
I'm good. I want prices to go higher. I'm scared they go lower. It's kind of weird what happens when they go lower. Just to let everyone know, when markets go lower, people sign up for ATI Pro Media Premium. People open futures accounts. People decide they want to be hedgers. The time to do all that is when times are great. The time to take care of your health. The best time to buy health insurance is when you're healthy. If you want life insurance, a young guy like you says, I'm going to go get $1 million worth of term. It's easy to do now. You have any problems down the road, it becomes hard to even get that insurance policy. So as the markets go down and people say, I want to buy insurance, you're like, now you do? Where were you? What were you thinking? And so one of the benefits of crop insurance is they make you have to buy it by March 15th. The American farmer doesn't have to do that with marketing. And I wish they did, because it would make them more committed to saying I'm in or I'm out. So ultimately, you, the American farmer, 97% of all farms are owned by individual business owners. You are responsible for your own selling the product. And there's still a gap here between, some of the things that happen, the timing of it all.
And I would look, hey, next 30, 60 days, I definitely don't know what the weather's going to do. Hope we see, like you said, I hope we see above $5 corn. But try and shift your focus. If you learned anything last year where we saw $6 corn and then saw the sell-off, right? Look at weather markets as opportunities. I'm not saying throw all your eggs in that basket, right? But being complacent June 18th to July 18th is not the right marketing strategy.
Right. Will we see $5 corn in 2024? I have a Dees 2025 chart up. Joe can pull that up. We're at $4.75 for Dees 25. So that's where Dees 25 is. Now, the amazing thing about the Board of Trade is they keep going. The charts may look a little funny, but Dees 26, $4.67, even worse. I think there's a Dees 27 corn. It's trading $4.62. Will we see it? Sure, we could see it quickly. We could see it by the June 28th report. Hot, dry weather, less acres, less this, less that. We could be there. But how long will we stay there? Like, what will our high be? 505, 510, 525, 550? I mean, the amount of bushels that are still out there in the world. And then what's that set you up for next year? So say we spike up again this year, and South America gets to go say, things are getting better, prices are going up. We say things are getting better, prices are going up. And we all just continue to plant and innovate and get these bushels through technology. Technology has made the American farmer great. I think you'll do a lot better if you pretend you're awesome, you pretend Mother Nature likes you, and that you're awesome at farming. I think it's going to go so much better when we talk marketing.
Yep. Well
Questions,
said.
comments, peanut gallery? Otherwise, we'll get out of here.
Questions.
Joe says,
look at Joe. He's like, wrap it up.
Joe
what
says,
are you
wrap it up. We got people to call. We got to start smiling, dialing.
Yep.
Tommy Grashoff,
holiday tomorrow. Have a good
holiday
one,
tomorrow.
Game.
We will be off. I'll be at the Cubs game. If you're going to Cubs game, shoot me a text. Go Cubs, because the White Sox, I think they would actually free tickets if you go the White Sox, but it's just too painful to watch.
So. I want it to be known this is ATI Pro Media is not a Cubs show. Make sure that known. Right. Cardinals over here, Tommy.
Sounds good, buddy. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.